Oh yeah, nothing. What? What? No. What? This is Wednesday. This isn't a Trap Thursday. What are you guys doing here? Oh, jeez. Ugh. You know, I can't even get a day's rest. Here I am vacationing in the city of Brass and having a nice time, drinking a couple of Mai Tais, and you guys are just cramping my style. I guess I'll let it slide, though. Obviously, I took Grimcat here with me because you can't leave him at home or, he'll just engorge himself on all the minced meat I'm making from all the Delvers. So I got to take him with me. So, you're probably wondering why I brought you here. Well, wait. Probably wondering why you showed up to my place. And let me tell you, it's because we're funded, baby. That's why I'm on vacation. All right. You guys did it. Oh, I'm so proud of you. If I didn't want to squeeze you to death, I'd want to hug you to death. So, here's what we got. We've already hit how many stretch goals? 1, 2, 3, 4 stretch goals. Woo! Oh boy. Now that's something, isn't it? And we got 4 more to go. We're halfway there. So you got to tell your friends and all your neighbors and all your neighbors' friends and their boyfriends and their girlfriends and their uncles and their aunts and the cousins, second cousins, and everybody in between. You got to tell them what's going on because we got to hit those stretch goals, man. You can't just leave me hanging like that, okay? And also, I didn't pay for this hotel room yet, so we got to get a couple more funds in here, or otherwise they're gonna kick me out. But what do you know? The nerds showed up here too to bother me, so let's bring them out of the locker again and let's see what they got to say.
Hey, how's it going, Grimtooth?
What? Well, I was having a good time until I saw you guys showing up. But I guess can I order you something to drink? They got a lava drink that's to die for. I mean, it'll just burn you right up.
I'll take one of those. What about you, Mike?
No, I'm trying to cut down on lethal concoctions for this week. It's just
Okay, all right.
saving up for Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, Grimtooth, how's your vacation been now that you're kicking back after the successful crowdfunding?
Oh, I'm just soaking up the rays and breathing in the noxious fumes here. Not everybody can vacation around the city of Brass. I'm sure you guys got some enchantments, but to keep yourselves from burning up. But me, I'm all good. I'm getting a tan. We're doing great here. Loving it.
So, just to be clear for the backers, your funds will still pay for books. His vacation is not going to, break the bank on getting you your books.
It's okay. Good. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
City of Brass is cheap. Don't worry, folks.
You're right.
He's paying for this out of all that you spare change you lose out of the bodies if everybody gets killed by his trap. So it doesn't affect the funding whatsoever.
All right. You guys got me on that one. I was trying to embezzle a little bit, but fine. I am staying at the Motel 666, so it's pretty cheap.
How's the breakfast buffet?
Oh, you don't want it, that's for sure. Everything is burnt.
Sounds great. All right. Well, Grimtooth, for those in the audience who don't know, I'm Joe Goodman. This is Michael Curtis, and that, of course, is Grimtooth. We're here to just talk to you guys a little bit and tell you a little bit about our project. So how you doing tonight, Mike?
I am doing fine. It is a lovely day here on the Twitch channel. I didn't. So.
Cool.
So.
How you doing, Grimtooth? Sounds like you're nice and relaxed. Oh, you got drinks.
Oh, yeah. I'll take another one of these, please. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's funded. As soon as we hit that fund goal on day 1, I left town, and I've been here ever since, just doing what I do best, which is usually killing people in my dungeons, but now it's just hanging back.
Yeah. Well, listen,
I thought we gym at the motel too. So.
Oh, good. You've been pumping iron?
Oh yeah. I don't. Not a day stops where I don't pump iron.
How do you pump
not a day
molten
passes
iron?
when I'm whatever.
Are you pumping molten iron?
Well, you know that they got to keep forging it. You know, it's
So we just posted a poll on the project. If you're on the crowdfunding, we're on Backerkit, which is a new platform for all of us, and actually it's working great. They have all these cool options, and it lets us post integrated polls, which you guys have seen, I'm sure. I want to review these poll results because they are fascinating to me.
I've been interested too.
Yeah, we posted one about a week ago,
Mhm.
and it turns out that corridor traps and room traps are tied for people's, favorite kinds of traps. So based on that, we posted one today about what's your favorite kind of pit trap, and these results are great. Mike, what do you think about them? What are the results? What you would expect?
So far, I mean, we have the one who's winning right now is basically the biggest, broadest category, which doesn't come to, is basically the trap that any PCs fall into, which, I mean, that's that covers everything. I like to be a little more specific when it comes to traps. I mean, I'm a trap connoisseur when it comes to pits. My favorite one is one of the ones that we actually posted on the preview, and that's like the teeter totter trap, and that's the one where you get on it, and it's on a pivot point, you fall in, and then slap shut behind you. So you can fill it with all sorts of fun stuff to fight while you're down there, or you can put a latch on it so it's a one-way thing, and you can't get out of it, or you can put a slide that leads to some other mysterious level. I mean, one-way pits are the way to go. That's
You can do a lot with a pit. That's a good point. Yeah. The closing back up and latching so it's one way, that goes a long way. I mean, actually, I guess it doesn't go a long way, but you know what I'm trying to say. So on the poll so far, we asked, what's the best kind of pit trap? 3% said you're plain old open pit, which I'm surprised it even got 3%. That was like I didn't think anybody would pick that.
You can dig a hole in your yard and make an open pit. Okay, let's get a little more creative here.
Yeah, Grimtooth deserves better. We're not going to publish a book with that kind of trap in it.
No.
And then 15% said poison spikes at the bottom, which is, respectable. But that's kind of like the price of entry, I feel like. That's like your basic, you don't need Grimtooth for that. Grimtooth.
Those are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, exactly.
The classics never go out of style. I mean, everybody has to design their first pit trap at some point, and I think that's where you get the open pit trap, and then like your second level DM, the one who's been playing for a little, realizes, wait, maybe I can put some spikes in it, and then they're like, oh, and they put some poison on the spike. So it's a gradual thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's got 15% right now, so I guess we have some of those folks out there right now. Then next highest result, actually, sorry, I forgot. Boulder drops from above was also tied at 3%, which is kind of a classic. Next highest
coming.
Yeah. Slightly ahead of poison spikes is oiled walls with an acid pool at the bottom. I kind of like that one too.
It's a good one.
I mean, oiled walls you can really combine with anything, but with the acid pool, that's a good one. And then the one that's actually specific enough to win, not just anything they fall into, but ooze or slime at the bottom is 30% right now.
Ooze or slime? We're talking about living ooze.
Yeah, exactly. Or I guess not. Mike, what do you think about that one?
It doesn't specify. I mean, that ooze or slime could be the people who fell in there before you. I mean, they've been down there longer. That's kind of
a septic tank.
I mean, you fell into some pool and then you're like, oh, this was somebody else at some point. You're like, I'm getting the nasties just thinking about that, right?
That's a good point.
It's like the scene in Poltergeist with the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So.
This is actually the most fun part of like Grimtooth traps, the fact that you can take a menu of options here, and then to Mike's point, close the lid or drop something in, or just completely, reinvent the wheel and keep iterating on it and come up with some amazing stuff.
Or you can just put all of them together.
So poison spikes inside an ooze, floating atop some acid with oiled walls, and then a boulder falls on you.
And that pushes you into the poison spikes at the bottom of the acid pool.
I like it.
Yep. That's a 5 skull one.
Yeah.
Done and
so
done.
Grimtooth, I wanted to let you know, I went through my old books and look what I found.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's a miracle. Look at that.
This is the one that I had when I was a kid. And I've been looking through it. The illustrations are like the best part. I mean, no offense to the traps themselves, but like I love the art. It's like so good. These like architectural renderings of like how the traps work and everything. It is so much fun.
Looks like that's before I grew my mustache too.
Yeah, there you are. Pre-mustache. Yeah.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were the days. All right. But else, you ever do this? Like some of my favorite ones. And it's funny, I really just remember the illustrations. I mean, I don't know how old I was when I got this, 10, 11, 12, something like that. But
Got to start them young.
yeah, exactly. This won't show up. But this one where like basically you step on like a coiled spring on like the little dungeon, plate on the floor, and then it like basically releases a blade that cuts your ankle off. Like it's great. It was called the Achilles Willies for the Achilles tendon. But yeah, man, these are classics. I love flipping through them.
Wonderful. Well, mail it to me. I'll sign it for you.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, we got to get you a Gen Con next year, man. Doing signings, at the booth. Everybody's
Yeah,
gonna want
well, it's going to cost you a little bit. At least a couple drinks at the bar.
Well, if we get enough, like after your $1 million stretch goal to release your poetry, like 1,000,010 will get you to Gen Con. So
okay, all right, I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen. I'll put it on my schedule.
I think we should trap the booth.
That's a great idea. I'm thinking about your ziggurat, and you put a little slot machine there, right? And you start spinning. But if somebody gets 3 skulls, then all these skulls come raining down on them to get crushed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could get like a $5 coupon, or they get a handshake from me or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Gen Con doesn't have any policy on skulls falling from the ceiling. I'm sure that's totally legit.
Well, that's not for me to look into. Okay.
We gave
You want to bite me? There's got to be traps. That's my stipulation.
That's your rider.
We sold nunchucks one year. We just had to put a sticker. I'm sure we could drop boulders as long as there's a sticker on them. I mean,
you go.
That was funny when we sold the nunchucks. First of all, if you don't know, we did sell official DCC RPG licensed nunchucks. Was that 2018 or 2019?
It's before the world changed. And they were foam nunchucks. Yeah. So let's,
Yeah. I mean, they had foam padding. They had a little bit of heft. Like if you hit somebody with them, they hurt, as I discovered when my children got into the supply. But mostly that's when we learned that Gen Con does have a weapons policy, which basically you can bring all the weapons you want. You just have to tape the thing shut and put a label on it that says, don't use this on a person. So that was our big learning. Actually, the best part of that whole experience was after I ordered those nunchucks through whatever like vendor I found online, I got on a mailing list for like ninja weapons. So like there's a lot of factories overseas that make different kinds of like, remember the sai, that like 3 prongs dagger, and those like pole arms that have like fancy whatever, all those like ninja weapons. I still to this day get emails from factories selling ninja weapons that want me to produce them.
I remember the 80s fondly, where there was always that one kind of shady shop at the mall, where they sell like throwing stars, and so.
Dude, throwing stars are awesome, but I can't. Now as a parent, I can't believe my parents let me buy real metal throwing stars. Like we like throw them at the trees and stuff, and that stuff can really hurt you.
Yeah,
that would have been a lesson to learn.
It wasn't too far away from the era of lawn darts, where you just hawk a solid metal javelin into the air, where all your relatives are gathered around, and
yeah. This just sounded like Grimtooth material. Like we should have Grimtooth's party games or something,
Yeah, I should produce deadly children's toys. Is that what you're saying?
There's probably rules on that. I'm pretty sure. We might have to look into that.
Well, it depends on the country or the realm, City of Brass don't have those rules.
I blame helicopter parenting.
Oh, I see in the chat, Joan, you grew up with those lawn darts. That's great.
And
I'm glad you survived that era.
Yeah, exactly.
She made it to adulthood. Good job, Joan.
I got my first black eye playing Marvel superheroes.
Are you for real?
Yeah. Because my friend was the mighty Thor. So he had a croquet mallet. and I was Captain America with a garbage can, and I wasn't fast enough with a garbge can, so I got chased with a croquet mallet.
Man, those things are like heavy too. That could really hurt you, as you probably know better than me now. Wow, that's epic. I feel like I didn't have any black eyes growing up. I'm trying to remember my injuries.
You can fix it.
Actually, yeah, no, my brother has a gigantic scar, which was my fault. Hope he's not watching this, but yeah, so we were riding bikes, and mostly I remember I had a really good reason for chasing him with a big stick. It was not my fault at all, but I was chasing him with a giant stick, and he was 3 years younger than me, riding his bike, and he reached out to like stop the bike and grabbed at the top of a chain link fence, and it was that kind where there's like the little like chains like interlock, and then they're like jagged and pointy at the top. So he basically, because he was moving fast on his bike, and he grabbed it. It was basically like a buzzsaw of all these sharp, and this giant cut right down the middle of his hand. And what I remember too is I walked over there, and we looked at it, and it didn't bleed. In my memory, this is like 20 seconds, but it must have been like 1 second. But it didn't start bleeding immediately. We could see like the white tendons inside his hand, and we were both like, cool. And then, like 1 second later, the pain kicks in, and it's like gushing blood. He's like, ah!
Any other
Anyway.
Twitch show, this would be like, we'd be digressing from the topic at hand, but talking about grievous bodily harm just seems appropriate for the Grim Show.
Totally on point. Yeah.
Well, I gifted my sister Grimtina a chainsaw, and that has never worked out. So, bad brother gift, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I see in the chat that Grimtooth's distant relative, Vatani Maru, whacked somebody named Thorn really hard with a PVC pipe sword. Uh-oh.
Yeah. That'll hurt. I'm sure they only had like just a little bit of foam around that PVC pipe, that really wasn't doing anybody any good. So
I think that was the case with the nunchucks. I think it was the same thing,
You're right. It probably was PVC pipe. It was some sort of like slightly heavy thing at the center. Not quite like wood, but yeah. Not quite Bruce Lee material. More like, All right. Well, we should talk about our stretch goals, I think. We got 4 down. Let me navigate my screen here, which is pretty exciting. And these stretch goals, by the way, I don't think we mentioned this, but they're all written by Steve Crompton. And for those of you who don't know, we should really say this somewhere. We should mention this. Steve Crompton is the original illustrator and creator of most of Grimtooth's traps. He actually didn't draw the first illustration of Grimtooth. That was somebody else, but he drew basically like the next 9,000. So if you go through your old books and like, read the signatures on a lot of the art, actually this very first one here has Steve Crompton's name on it. So Steve is like the original Grimtooth creator. We should really have him on one of these Twitch shows. But anyway, he's like, Grimtooth incarnate. And you know what, Grimtooth? We should have you interview Steve. Why did we not think of that before?
Hey, I don't know.
Yeah, we got to do that. I'll get right on that.
All right,
Grimtooth.
get on it.
Yeah. Yeah. But Steve is authoring all of our stretch goals and illustrating them. We've cleared 4 so far, and we're like, as Grimtooth said, inches away from the 5th. The first one was the Curse of Nefergrimtini. The second one is the Stalactites of Death. The third is Pompeii and Circumstance, which I like. I think we covered this in one of the updates because it has like a volcano erupting and just like the city of Pompeii. The fourth is the non-corporeal punishment trap, and the one we're just about like inches away from is It Ain't Over Till It's Over. And here's what he described that one as to me. He said, "You escape this trapped room, or do you?" And that's all I got. So we can get Steve on to talk more about it. But if you're watching this, see if you can pledge just a little bit more. Tell your friends and family. We're closed in on the 150K, which is another bonus trap, which would be this one.
The backer train is currently rolling, so yeah, so hop on board right now. We have just about 5 minutes to keep that train rolling. No, and we are about 2,600 and change away from the hitting that next stretch goal. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's close. And then I have a couple FAQs here that people brought up. This is questions we keep getting, so I figured we'd address them here on the stream. And Mike and Grimtooth, feel free to jump in if you have others. But One of them
Well,
is
I'm not giving
international.
away any of my secret workout routines. All right, I'm not doing it. Just not doing it.
That was first on the list, actually.
All right.
Sorry.
Nope.
Sorry,
No comment.
customers. No comment. Okay. All right. All right. I know we all want to look like Grimtooth, but we'll have to figure out another way, you know? Yes. So the second one on the list was the international friendly shipping. And this is mostly just to explain, yes. So we have a shipping point in the UK, Birmingham specifically, which is where we'll be shipping UK and EU from. And then we're working with a partner in Australia to ship Australia, New Zealand, and Asia from there. And then the US obviously ships out of the US. And we don't actually have a final Canada shipping point confirmed, but we're talking to some folks and should have it confirmed by the time this ships. So we'll have Canada shipping, ideally from inside Canada as well. So yes, international folks, we should be able to have you covered there.
Now, what about the multiverse?
We have a shipping point inside the multiverse. So we will be shipping the multiverse from the multiverse.
Okay, great. All right.
We have a random black hole behind the warehouse. We just chuck stuff in and hope it shows up. That's it, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds about good. Sounds like what the Chaos Lords would make.
Yeah. But for multiverse shipping, you got to pay your own VAT, folks. Just letting you know, we don't cover that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's high.
Yeah. So the other question we get is about the $10 credit. So if you're watching this and you have ever backed any Goodman Games Kickstarter ever, you get a credit. So if you back, it's crazy. So we've done 30, 35 Kickstarters. Anybody who ever backed any gets the $10 credit. $10 for if you back the print edition, $5 if you back the PDF edition. The way this works though is you pledge at the price shown, and then when we do the pledge manager on the back end, it'll show up with a credit for you. So FYI, that's a real thing. But because it doesn't show immediately, people this is like the number 2 question we get after Grimtooth's workout routine. So you will get it. It just shows on the back end in the pledge manager.
Yeah. And if you don't see it, if you don't see like when they log in, isn't there's some sort of thing that basically tells them whether they're eligible or not. And if you don't see that and you have backed us before, it's most likely you're using a different email or something. So you have to just make sure that because Backerkit uses your Kickstarter email because that's what we use to
exactly.
So if you're not seeing it, that might be the root of the issue.
Yeah, and exactly. And when we get to the pledge manager stage, we'll, for that group of customers who have that issue, basically it's a lot of research. But Grimtooth will be right on that, researching your pledge, making sure you get the credit.
That's right. All right. Yeah. I'll be right on it. Can I get another one of these?
Yeah, exactly. Then the other question we get was PDF previews. So for those of you who wanted to actually see the pages, if you go to the front page of the project now, scroll down to whatever section it was called. It's called Examples of Printed Traps. That's a great name. You will find examples of the actual pages. So, and we're using as much as we can of the classic art. So the look and feel will be very similar. Once we get a little further in layout, we will be commissioning new pieces as well from all the classic DCC artists you love and know. Doug, Stefan, Will, Peter, etc. But there's going to be lots in there from the classics as well.
Classic art, classic traps for the modern audience.
Yes. Well said.
Thank you.
You gotta stay classy if you're gonna kill the. Well, I had something. Never. I don't know if we should do that poetry.
Lavatinas. That's it.
Yeah. Have another drink.
Oh, okay.
Colada.
Somebody in the chat said they need an MCC version. Well, let me tell you what. You just get the DCC version, and you just switch things around. Instead of spikes, you got laser beams coming out. You make it your own. Use your imagination.
Let me just say is that one of the later books actually has an entire section on sci-fi traps. So if this one turns popular, I mean, there's still other trap books out there and everything. We never, you never know. Never say never, right?
Right. And if we do the sci-fi one, then I can get one of those those tight silver suits to wear and promote it that way. That'd be pretty cool.
That's what we're all waiting for. Exactly. Where did I see it? Remember that guy Bucky from was it Buck Rogers from
Bucky O'Hare?
Was that the little Tweaky, the little silver robot from Flash Gordon? Was it Buck Rogers?
How do you still have any nerd credit whatsoever if you can't name Tweaky from Buck Rogers?
Sorry, man. I know.
At your age, you should be able to know who the hell Tweaky is. Okay, that's what I'm just saying.
Sorry. I lost a point of nerd
Who-
credit. Put me back in the
not only do
locker,
I-
Grimtooth.
Not only do I know it was Twinkie, it was voiced by Mel Blanc, the voice
My God.
behind Bugs Bunny, but the actor who played it was
My God, Mike.
I forget his last name, but he was like in a ton of stuff. It was a little person actor, and it's one of those things like, oh my God, he's been in everything, you know.
What a
Felix
nerd.
Silla, thank you very much, Dice Station Zero. There we go. That's it.
I'll go rewatch some Buck Rogers. I'll earn back my spot. Don't worry.
Go rewatch the first season, but he changes dramatically after the second
No,
season.
so I remember as a kid being completely confused, you know, and just
that was my
what?
first
Now they're on like
experience.
a space station, and like there's hawk people or whatever, and like yeah.
The second season, they were like, well, this Star Trek Battlestar Galactica is popular, so like let's move them and put them on a ship and send them out into the
Yes.
cosmos. Yeah, that's my first experience with like studio meddling when it comes to
Yes,
stuff.
exactly. And yeah, Queen Amidala and Colonel Deering. And what's her name? Emily no, Gray. Erin Gray was on. Anyway, there's my childhood fascination revealed. Yeah. Yeah. She was like mostly what I watched. So all right.
Well,
Anyway,
now,
I think
go ahead. You go ahead.
no, Grimtooth, I defer. You go.
Okay.
You go.
I was just wondering if that was all the questions.
Yeah. I can't believe how did our FAQ get into Twinkie? But anyway, I forget which FAQ that was. But other questions we got. Oh, that was PDF previews on the page. Yeah. And then people ask why we switched platforms. Honestly, because Backerkit's cool. Like, there's so much functionality. Now that it gets Kickstarter, we will still run some Kickstarters on Kickstarter, especially where it makes sense, like the next sequel in a certain line and stuff like that. But Backerkit has a lot of functionality, like the integrated polls. If you haven't filled out the poll yet, go to the community tab and fill out the poll, and you can fill it out right there. I'm looking at the results. They've switched a little bit since we started the show. But yeah, it's just got a lot of great functionality that we like. What other questions we got?
I don't know, but when nobody's looking tonight, I'm going to go on the FAQ, and the last question is going to be, who played Twinkie on Buck Rogers? And I'm going to play, that one played by Felix Silla. That's it.
Do it. The worst trap, a double mortgage. Got to agree with the history prof in the chat. Exactly. So, and guys, this won't be the super long stream. We only have another 5 minutes or so, but there were a couple other questions I got, Lorraine Williams, that I wanted to answer as well. Actually, these are questions on Kickstarter updates. Just since we're talking crowdfunding, here's like a general update on some of the other crowdfundings. First, actually, I got these in the mail. This is the Compendium of Dungeon Crawls. This is volume 2. The fuzziness on Zoom always messes it up. This is volume 2. This is volume 1. So we actually ran this on Indiegogo a while back, and it was called Adventure Module Manual at the time. But you know, creative folks, we rethought the title and like this better. But anyway, this is a compilation of our 5e 5th edition fantasy adventures, and I'm sending you this or showing you this just so you know it's coming along. We got the advanced copies. This is what they send me to basically approve to say, does the book look good? And then they put the rest on the boat and ship it over. So if you back that project,
Did it look good?
It looks good. Yes, I wrote back looks good with an umlaut over the U and good. It looks good. Yes,
like a big approved stamp. Approved.
I should get one of those. I'll hit my monitor every time. Approved. Yeah. How many pages are we looking at? These are each like 250. I want to say. Let's see. Sorry, 180 something on this one.
Talking about Grimtooth.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, right. You're right. Well, it's 150 traps plus stretch goals. So we're estimating page count at 150 to 200, depending on how it goes. And it'll be usually 5e is a little longer, and DCC is a little shorter.
Yeah, because all these traps are statted up. They're not just system neutral anymore. So you got to have DCC stats and 5e stats, and 5e takes up a little more page count.
Yeah, and we'll have. I think the plan is we're going to talk to a couple of people and have a few essays or stuff like that. So but so there is a question. Most likely there will be at least I don't know how deep the history of Grimtooth will go, but I'm sure like Steve Crompton will talk about it in his or whatever like that. So all right.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Millennium.
What about the history of Grimtooth's vacations? I mean, that might be something they're interested in.
Well, possible. I'll bring out the old photo album.
That would be great. All right. And then the other update was OAR number 7, Dark Tower. So this project is Original Adventures Reincarnated number 8, Grimtooth Old School Traps. Dark Tower is the one that comes before this. Is that right? We can't. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So Dark Tower is at the printer. We've been going back and forth on the files with the printer, and then it's actually, I want to say it's tomorrow or the day after, I'm supposed to get some physical proofs, which is frankly always a fun day. So I'll post photos of that probably next week once I get a chance to review them. And that goes in stages. First, anyway, it's a long story, but I'll get different stages and eventually like physical mock-ups and so on. But that's always the most fun part when you get the physical proofs. The thing we did, I guess it was yesterday with the printer, the slipcase for Dark Tower will be what's called debossed, which is basically kind of like a physical texture stamped on it around certain parts of the cover. Like the Dark Tower logo is going to have kind of a debossing around it. And then also there'll be foil utilized as well. And remember, there's 2 slipcases, one for DCC and one for 5e, and they're slightly different. But one of the most fun parts of my job is this little thing right here, which is, I know, Mike, it's so much fun. Mike, do you want to tell them what this is? Because you obviously know and are going to teach me about it.
I've never actually touched the sacred tome. I always just see it on Zoom calls between either you and Matt. So Matt has his copy and you have yours.
Yes. So they're actually really expensive. This is a foil catalog from the printer that I work with. And Chinhui is actually like the foil manufacturer. And every page of this sucker, and it's like hundreds of pages, has like, a whole bunch. Look at that. Isn't that cool? A whole bunch of foil options. And so what Matt and I do is we get
like a raven or something. Shiny. It's like shiny.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like just endless amounts of foil. And not only that, but they're technically like there'll be the texture or hologram as well as the color, as well as the shininess and the matte and the blah, blah, blah. So you can sort of combine from all the options. But Matt and I will get on the phone and be like, okay, the Dark Tower slipcase, it has green and a little bit of highlights in yellow. And, what would go well? Oh, how about, foil number L2-005A from page 22, and so.
Nerds.
Yes. Anyway.
Listen, I can give you a folio book and it's got a whole bunch of different skin samples on it. And you can, I can just flay these people for you and we can wrap the books up in them, in different types of skins. You got lizard man, you got, you're regular human. That's boring though. But,
Thank goodness you had skin samples, because I thought you were going to say another thing. Another sample with that. And I don't want to have that book anywhere near me.
No, just get some. Okay, just get some. All right, yeah.
I'll ship it to you. You can look it over. Think about.
I can't wait. Yeah, but so anyway, on back to Dark Tower. So what point is that we did all the stuff on the slipcase yesterday, including picking out the final foil colors and so on. So we'll get a sample of that too in a couple weeks probably, and then we can show that off to the Kickstarter backers. So it's all moving along. It's just a freaking massive project between the 3 volumes and the slipcase, then double that for 5e and DCC, and then the various supplements and so on. But we're working through it, and it's going to be awesome. And then what was the other update I had? Dungeon Denizens. So we posted actually today some more layout previews. Turns out there's a lot of letters in the alphabet. And we decided to do 500 monsters for this sucker. So it's taken a while to work through all the letters in the layout, but it's moving along slowly. And we'll keep posting updates until we're done, and then we'll get that sucker printed.
That's a lot of monsters.
It is 500 monsters for 5e. It's a lot. I don't know who's made that call, but is
that like 5,000 pages with 500? Like those stats.
Well, we haven't gotten to the. Yeah, I know. We're not at the end of the layout yet, but
if it's 500 for 5e, why didn't we do a dozen for DCC and just be done with it?
Next time, we got you.
Right.
Yeah. And what else do we have to cover? I think that was it. Unless you guys in the audience have any questions, that was the topics we had. We wanted to make. Oh, dude, it's so cool. I'm watching the poll on the Kickstarter. I mean, on the Backerkit page, and it like moved when I was watching. Like people were voting on it real time. That's not
real time poll action.
Open pit plain bottom just went up to 4%. Who's voting for that? No offense, we like our customers, but like that's the most
not
a Grimtooth worthy trap.
Sometimes simple is, I mean, I personally, I have loved fighters and warriors. There's nothing flashy about it, but after a hard day's work, sometimes you don't have to worry about like what spell I'm going to cast. Sometimes you
Sometimes
be
you
like,
just need an
I'm
open
gonna hit that thing. So sometimes the pit is just like, I mean, this is Sparta. You just kick him right in the pit. There you go. I mean, done and done, right?
Maybe that's it. Maybe
Something to
people
that.
are thinking about that movie.
Yeah. Well, cool. Grimtooth, any other topics you think we should cover before you go back to your vacation?
Oh well, I don't top of my head, no. But it's getting a little hot. I think I might have to take a pool in the lava. Cool
Sounds
off
like
a
a
little
great.
bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, a little bit of lava, a little bit of magma afterwards. Gotta just maybe get a massage.
Oh yeah,
Stay
yeah.
stay
I like
cool
to
or stay
find one of
hot.
those pizzas that hasn't broken up yet, and I can just float on top of it.
Yeah. Sounds great. Mike, anything else you had to cover before we
Nope.
sign off?
I think we've been we've taken up enough people's time being entertaining, talking about a bunch of stuff, which may or may not be
Take up
applicable,
enough
but,
my time, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Grimtooth. Didn't mean to take up your time.
I didn't leave a message. You guys didn't know I was on vacation.
That's true.
Just
Gotta
gotta
set that
let
out of
down.
office.
That's how I do.
Yeah. That's how we do. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for your support on Grimtooth's Old School Traps. It's awesome to see we already have more backers than any of the other Grimtooth projects we've ever done. So there's a lot of interest out there.
and
Sorry, Mike.
And if you are on Backerkit, which you should be, and you have not yet shared this if you're on Backerkit and
Good reminder.
Facebook, we're spreading the word. So if we have 1,000 shares of the Backerkit campaign on Facebook, everybody, free stickers for everybody, which may or may not be poisonous.
And then we'll have Grimtooth's face on them. Oh, and I was just talking to Brian from the Neon. I think it was Brian from the Neon Lords Project. He has a source for scratch and sniff. Sorry, no, it was Trevor. It was Trevor from Smoking Worm. So maybe if we get enough shares, maybe we even do scratch and sniff stickers. Wouldn't that be cool?
I smell great.
Just as long as it's
I did that.
Get an after Grimtooth workout scented sticker.
That is a trap. Trust me.
Smell like high karate. That's it.
Or fort save or pass out.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
See you later.